Elizabeth was amazing tonight, but what do you expect? But she was so funny and real, and I can't wait to break down her best tips for you. So good. Go girl.
Sono grata, a wonderful expression that means I am grateful in Italian. Welcome, this is Andrea with the ADS Agency, here to bring you the very best in marketing and branding tips, as well as business tips for those of you who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, personal branders. Welcome. Today, I'm so excited to share with you some of the greatest tips that I got from a fabulous speaker, author, and just practitioner of life, Elizabeth Gilbert, whom you may better know as the author of Eat, Pray, Love, which became a sensational, not only bestseller for like 4 years in a row, but also, fabulous movie. Julia Roberts played her, and just fantastic. And so she spoke at the Center for Women's event in Charleston, which I was just a panelist at this past weekend, and was just fantastic, like literally just fantastic. And so I said, I have to share some of these tips with you. And so I'm only going to share 10 of those with you today, 10 of the best that I heard from her. Later in another video, I'm going to share with you some of her best tips for writers. So those of you who are writers, look out for another video from that probably next Tuesday. This Thursday coming out, look out for a special edition, magic and God willing and everything. This Thursday, we're going to put out our ADS Christmas wish list for 2018. I'm so excited about this. So it's just something fun. I so super love this. It's like my own little favorite things. Of course, I'm a fan of Oprah, like so many, like who's not, besides, certain people. In any case, the ADS Christmas wish list features some of my favorite people and my favorite things that I want to share with you. It's just like Christmas gift ideas, small things that don't have to cost a lot, a couple of like pricier, nicer things. So be on the lookout for that, okay? All right, now, so let's get back to Elizabeth Gilbert. Tip number 1, she says, the most powerful words a woman can say, keep in mind, this was a women's conference, men, this applies to you too, but in particular women, the most powerful words a woman can say is, I don't care. Clearly, because we're so very wired to care. We're so very wired to be the one to take care of things, to problem solve and all of that. So the most powerful words, I don't care. Yes, honey. So that's one of my favorite, sincerely, one of my top favorites that she shared. And, she was talking about email and how she was like, don't even bother emailing her. She's not an email person. She's not going to respond to your email. She's not even, and if you respond to her, if you catch her on the wrong day, you might get a very nasty gram about that. So, yeah, I don't care, to like give yourself permission to not care about email sometimes and being plugged in or whatever it is that's like not on your priorities. To be able to say, I don't care about those things is powerful. So that's tip number 1, I don't care. Number 2 is boundaries to protect what you do care about. So she talked a lot about boundaries and setting boundaries around the things that you do care, to protect the things that you do care, your time, your relationships, the people you love, all those things, the things that fill you, that fill your cup, that make you valuable and give you your own strength and tenacity in the world, that give you your spark and all that, all those things that you care about. Needs a boundary around it. When you set those boundaries, it's so much easier to say those most powerful words, I don't care. So that's number 2. Boundaries are important. Tip number 3 kind of combines tips number 1 and 2. So she said, if you want to make anything sacred, all you have to do is draw a circle around it. Draw a circle around it. This watch, for example, I put on this piece of paper. I draw a circle around it. And now this watch is sacred. Let that symbolize whatever you like. But the point is that it's sacred. Why? Because we said so. Because we said it's sacred, and now it is. Anything that we claim as sacred is because we have deemed it so. And it's so very easy just to do that. And I thought one of the most powerful things around that was to say that you yourself are sacred. I'm sacred. Draw a circle around yourself. I'm sacred, right? Your time is sacred. The schedule, the plans that you put in place. We talked about Kanban boards before, and we'll show you that again. But the plans that you put in place, you put energy, you put thought into that. That reflects your priorities. It's sacred. The time you set to do those things is sacred. So are we going to let people get in that circle, in that space that is sacred? No, because this is important to us. This is our life, and we get to choose how to live it. And so what we deem as sacred is because we said so. Make anything sacred, draw a circle around it, boom, it's sacred in your life. Number 4, I love this so much, was a quote that she gave from Gandhi, which says, "You don't get to walk around my mind with your dirty feet." Meaning, ladies and guys, that you get to choose what you allow up here. Again, boundaries. If there are negative people in your life, if there are things that are draining you, that are not adding to you, that bring you no value, it's wasting your time, and even more so if it's negative. Somebody's dogging you, somebody's giving you, putting negative thoughts in your head about yourself. Get that person out of your space, out of your world, out of your mind. Her Gandhi quote was so perfect for this. You don't get to walk around my mind with your dirty little feet. I added little, sorry. Tip number 5. The power of boundaries, the power of these boundaries. So she cites a goddess. I've never heard of this. I think it must be like an Indian goddess. She called her Kali Durga, which she says is the goddess of female rage. And I'm going to have to find a picture of this for you, because as she described it, I was like, holy crap, I need to see this goddess of female rage because it sounds crazy. So the Kali Durga, who she says is the goddess of female rage, has a red face, a purple tongue, a necklace of men's skulls. Like, she sounds like she's the ultimate of feminine rage for real. And I love this. I know I can find this out here. But she cited, the power of the energy in that is very similar to a picture she saw one time of, an elderly woman, an older woman holding a sign that says, and she's protesting, marching in a protest, and it says, "Now you've pissed off grandma." Yes. So that's Kali Durga, mad, pissed off. You pissed off grandma. That's serious. If you pissed off grandma, that's serious, right? Okay, so she's saying the divine feminine, or that particular goddess, represents no more. That is the power of the boundary. There is you can go so far, but you cross this line, this circle, you step inside this sacred circle. Oh, no, you're not about to do that. And so she's saying that's powerful, because our ability to tell people no, that anger of people messing with something that's sacred, is powerful. When women can stand in that, she says, the world changes. Elizabeth Gilbert says the world changes when women stand in that power. So stand in that power, ladies. You claim something is sacred, make sure it stays sacred. You protect that time. You protect those relationships. You protect your hobbies, your interests, the things that feed you. Learn to say, no, this is a long way to learn to say no. And we hear this all the time, but we need to be reminded of it, because we will. And I'm talking to myself too, because we will end up saying, yes, yes, yes. Okay, I can do it. Yes, I can save the day. Again, superhero cape syndrome. Let me throw that superhero cape on and save the day for you, because I know I can. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? All right. Number 6 is an interesting one. Number 6, we're talking about mysticism. And Elizabeth Gilbert talks a lot about mysticism. She actually grew up in a very basic, church upbringing. There was no shouting, running around, it wasn't super spirit filled. It was a place where, you came to get your rules and, be a decent, upright person and all this kind of stuff. And, you coach the baseball team there, and that's church. In her world growing up, that's what church was like. And so, and she's the first to tell you that, if you believe in God, she believes in that. If you don't believe and you believe in whatever else, the universe, magic, she believes in that too. Meaning she wants everyone to believe whatever they believe, and that's good with her, of course, as it should be with all of us. We're good with whatever you believe for whatever reasons you believe it. You have every right, and you should believe the things you want to believe, right? Or that you do fervently believe. And so she says, and I wrote all this down, so I'm sharing it with you in particular. She says, the mystics of the world come from every religion. People who have transcended the material appearance of what's going on here. A mystic goes into a trance and connects with a deep stillness and a deep silence. And she says they always come back with the same message. So she told the story, ironically, of a native Alaskan mystical shaman. And those of you who know me know my mother is half Alaskan Native. That makes all of us girls that she had a quarter Alaskan Native. So immediately my ears perk up hearing this, because I'm like, oh, wow, she just threw in a story about Native Alaskans. Awesome. A Native Alaskan mystical shaman, she calls it, that lived above the Arctic Circle. He was 100 years old, and he became the mystic with his tribe when he was only 9 years old. She said they always pulled the odd kids out to try them out to see if they could be mystics. And they believe that mystics are a portal to the infinite. Quite interesting. So she told the story of an igloo where basically they and forgive me, Elizabeth, if I'm botching some of this, I'm just going off of memory, but they take this little kid when he's 9 years old, odd kid, they take him, blindfold him, drive him something like 100 miles away. They built this small, tiny igloo for him, put just enough food in it for him to survive, and drove off and left him there in this dark, cold igloo. Poor little baby. That is scary and terrifying for anyone. And so, of course, he screamed in terror for days and days and cried. And at some point, when all the terror was cried out, there was no more terror to cry out. At some point, he got very, very still. He got very, very still and deeply calm. And ultimately, it was a reassurance that everything is going to be all right. And so I'm just making sure I'm telling you this right. Yeah. So they take him all the way back to the village, and that's ultimately the message once he began speaking again. Poor baby, and all that was that everything is going to be all right. And according to Elizabeth, every mystic, and she's saying every religion has its own version of this, a mystic as she calls it. Every mystic has the same message all the time, which is everything's going to be all right. Which is so true. Don't you know that at the core, at your very core, I've always known, no matter what happens to you, you're good. You're fine at all times. You're good. It's going to be all right. Even if you're not fine, it's still all right. There are still things to be grateful for. There are still things to be joyous about. And so, even in those very dark places, you can still know and have calm and peace and know that everything's going to be all right. So one of the things she cites is that she literally said, the person in the room who is the most relaxed has all the power, because they're drawing from a deep, deep, deep well, which is what she says. Downloading the magic, which is number 8. Those people are downloading the magic from that infinite portal, which is basically our connection to God, or, again, the universe, or whatever, that eternal source that fills us. That's, as Elizabeth calls it, is downloading the magic, connecting with that infinite portal, and I think that's awesome. But I'm going to go back to that point about how she says the most powerful person in the room is the most relaxed. Let me tell you how much I love this, because, I feel like I'm fairly much a, cool, down to earth, relaxed person, sometimes bubbly, whatever. But I can also be quite, reflective, observant, all that. People are always getting this confused. But so, of course, the extroverts in the room are the most outgoing. Then you have the, what's the opposite of that? Extroverts. Introverts. And then there's a level in between called ambiverts, which is like my space, and I think a lot of people's space. It's so funny because the instant she said that, this so reminded me of a story of when I was working for a corporation. This was doing some of our global work overseas and here in North America. And I will never forget, there was a lady who was on our team, and she was pretty high up there in her own field. And there was just so much chaos. There's so much chaos involved with a merger acquisition. There sincerely is. I thought about doing some videos about merger acquisition. If you have any interest in merger acquisition, branding, communications at all, please let me know in the comments below. In any case, I remember she was talking about, she gets so stressed, like super stressed. She's a lot older than me too, super stressed about so many things. And she's like, I feel like she doesn't feel like she's doing her job if she's not acting like, a chicken with her head cut off about things. And she would always just get so frustrated with me because I'm always like this. And especially the more chaotic a situation gets, I get even calmer, right? And even more clear, and even more observant of the things around me, and always thinking through, what's our next best step? What's our next best step? But those kinds of things never ruffle my feathers, right? So the minute she said that, I was like, yes, score for the calm people in the room, because that's me. So I love that. Yay to the calm people. All right, 2 more points here. They're so good, and then we'll be done with this part of the recap with Elizabeth Gilbert. Don't forget, we'll be back to talk about her points for writers. So I'm going to share that because I know I have several people who are interested in writing. So number 9 was talking about the book of Job and the story of Job. And if you don't know the story of Job, there's so much you can know about Job, but basically the quick version of this is Job was great. He was faultless. He was without blame. He was a well-to-do man, very wealthy, plenty of land, plenty of flocks. Of course, this is biblical. Think several centuries ago, several centuries ago, and so he was doing well, married, plenty of kids. And then one day there was a conversation between God and Satan. And basically, Satan was challenging God, saying, Job is really only faithful to you because he has so many things. If you take away all these riches and things and all this bounty that you've given him, he will curse you and die, or want to die. And so, long story short, they put him to the test. They strip everything from him: his kids, his flocks, his land, his health. Oddly enough, they let him keep his wife and his life. But largely stripped of everything else in his life, even his children, his many children. And he didn't curse God, and even his friends question him. There's, we can make this a big long story about Job, but her point was there was a point where God said to Job, when he was a little bit wondering why is this happening to him, there's nothing that he felt warranted, there's no wrongdoing he felt that warranted this kind of severe punishment that he felt he was getting, for some reason. And all his friends were like, you must have done something to get this kind of wrath from God, and basically God said to him, when have you ever commanded a day? When did you ever tell the sun to rise? And all of that just to say, as much as we like to think that we're the person that gets up and cranks this world every day, and without us, the world doesn't go. And women, we are so guilty of this because we are responsible for so much, built to serve and all of that. As much as we like to think the world doesn't crank and go without us, it does. And so God was just reminding Job, I got this. There are things here going on you have no idea about. You have zero idea about. And you have never commanded a day, nor were you there when I created the world. So therefore, trust me. You trusted me before when things were good. Trust me now when things are bad. And he did. And ultimately what ended up happening was Job got everything back fivefold or something crazy like that. All his land, had more kids and all that. So anyway, Elizabeth made an excellent point that there's an arrogance in the martyrdom, that the only reason the earth turns is because I'm turning it. There's an arrogance in that. We talked about that. She also wanted people to know that you're not alone in this struggle. And she also told a very touching story about her own partner. So she was married before, and so there's so much about her life story that is just so great. And I wish I could share all this with you, but you can look her up too and learn all this for yourself as well. But she had a partner who was dying. And she said, even in that moment, she found some peace and grace in the fact that we don't even control our own breath. She was like, I'm being breathed right now. I'm being breathed. And her partner was being died. And she found peace in the fact that none of this is in her control. There's absolutely nothing she can do about it. It is out of her hands. And she just found peace in knowing something greater is controlling all of this. So, point number 10, which is so fabulous. She said, Elizabeth Gilbert said, when you know that kind of peace for yourself, when you are able to download the magic, as she said, when you're able to connect with the infinite in that way, and you can be both within and without yourself, knowing that eternity and infinity flows through you, and you're a vessel here, it gives you a level of peace that is unexplainable to even handle extreme moments like that. And she said that kind of peace gives you that confidence to be able to walk into any room and any situation and know that everything's going to be all right. You got this. You have that power within you and without you, and it is all around you. The other thing that I thought was so great was that, remember, she talked about how you can make anything sacred by drawing a circle around it. Well, she said a lot of times what we'll do, especially as women, is we'll take a rope, wrap it around our necks, dang near hang ourselves all the time with our negative talk in our heads about what we can't do, why we can't do it, why we're not good enough, why we don't deserve something, blah, 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 etc., 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 and on and on. And she's saying, don't use that rope to hang yourself. Use it to draw a circle around yourself and claim yourself sacred. and know that everything's going to be all right. How fantastic is that? Oh, she was so good. Okay, so those are my top 10 tips, takeaways from Elizabeth Gilbert's chat with us. Again, author of Eat, Pray, Love. She was there in Charleston with us for the Center for Women's C4W New conference. If you search that hashtag C4W New, you'll find all the conference goodies on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So be sure to look for that. We loved our panel, The Power of the Fearless Ask, with Nathalie Gregg, who's with Leading with Stilettos. Yes, that's Nathalie with an H and not Natalie. Get it right. And she's also hashtag leading loudly, lead loudly and leading loudly. So be sure to check her out. And just enjoyed our time on that panel. I'll have to share tips on that from you with you at some other point soon. And, you know, I just thought this was also befitting because it's Thanksgiving. So it's an important time to draw that circle around your family, draw that circle around yourself. Remember that deep inner peace when you're dealing with family. You know, sometimes things can be difficult, right? There's always certain topics that are like, oh, let's not go there. However, if you always have that peace within you, you always know you can handle anything that comes your way. All right. Beautiful. Also, don't forget, come back on Thursday. We're going to be releasing our ADS Christmas wish list, you know, with just a few of our favorite things for you for this year, for 2018. We're so excited about it, just in time for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Small Business Saturday, and every other thing that means shopping in America right now after Thanksgiving for Christmas. By the way, what do you do for Thanksgiving? We always draw names at Thanksgiving for Christmas. So this is really for the bigger family, but we also do like a smaller pool for our own local nuclear family. We have a big, huge extended family that always comes for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So depending on which families are there or not, it could easily be 30 plus people in one house for Thanksgiving. Same thing for our big Christmas dinner. So we generally have, Christmas with our own families in our own ways, and then we'll come together as a bigger family and do gift exchanges and a big dinner together and just catch up and see each other, you know, because sometimes it's the only time you see each other. Some of our families in Texas, some are traveling so much. A lot of us are in Alabama, Georgia, some are in Florida, and then so it's just a good time to get together and see each other. So let me know what you do for the holidays. Love to hear some of the stuff that you do. And whatever you do, remember, sono grata. I am grateful. And remember to draw that sacred circle around yourself and all the things that you hold dear. All right, my dears, cheers, and see you back here Thursday. Come back on Tuesday for perhaps some of these writer tips from Miss Elizabeth Gilbert. All right, cheers. Mwah. Charleston is lovely, right?